Hey guys, Mrs. Clark here. Um, this lesson is going to go over our weekly genre. I'm going to read our shared read and then also talk about our inquiry question for the week. So this next slide is going to go over our genre, which is historical fiction. We have gone over historical fiction previously in the year. So I want you to just take a minute, you can pause the video to brainstorm some ideas that you might have about historical fiction. All right, guys, welcome back. I hope you took a minute to write down some characteristics of historical fiction that you already know, or just any ideas that you may have had. Um, so we're going to go over some characteristics now, and I want you to think I Survived books. And I know if you are in my class, you have definitely heard an I Survived book. If you haven't read one on your own, I know we've read through a couple of them. So first thing is it's going to feature events and settings typical with the time period in which the story takes place. So what that means is if you're reading I Survived the American Revolution, it's not going to talk about cars and airplanes because those things didn't exist at that time. It's going to talk about events and settings that go with that time period. Next one is it's going to feature lifelike characters. So they may be made up characters, like in the I Survived books. They're not always based on a real person that lived during that time, but they are going to be lifelike and have similar experiences that someone during that time may have had. And then the story usually unfolds in a time order, so chronological order. The events are going to go in order in which they normally would in real life, but they may contain some flashbacks. And what a flashback is when a character kind of recalls or remembers a memory from a time before what's going on in the story at that exact moment. Okay, on to our inquiry question for the week. Inquiry question is, how can working together help us solve problems? So when you are answering this inquiry question based on the story we're about to read, when you go onto Teams and you're answering that inquiry question, you're going to use the sentence starter. Working together can help us solve problems, and then continue on. So working together can help us solve problems by doing such and such. Or working together can help us solve problems because, and then add your own answer there. Make sure you're writing in complete sentences. That first letter of a sentence should always be capitalized and then have proper punctuation at the end. So moving on to our shared read, you'll see here genre is historical fiction. The title is Shipped Out. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read the story now. Remember, this will also be assigned to you on Wonders to refer back to. You can reread it if you'd like, or it can be read to you on the Wonders site by clicking these little buttons here. Okay, Shipped Out. My name is Libby Kendall, and I'm a prisoner of war. Well, not really, but some days it feels that way. Just like my dad, I've packed up my things and shipped out. Unlike my dad, however, nothing I do will ever help the Allies win World War II. My father is a mechanic on a battleship in the Pacific Ocean. I'm trapped in a little apartment above my Aunt Lucia's bakery downtown. Mom says it's just for a few months while she works double shifts at the clothing factory. She makes uniforms, mostly sewing pockets on jackets. I asked her once if she snuck things into the pockets for soldiers to find, like little poems written in calligraphy. She said soldiers wore jackets with pockets to hold tools they might need for war survival, not silly things like poetry. It seems no one appreciates my creative contributions to the war effort. But Aunt Lucia says my help to her is important, since both her workers joined the Army. On my first day with Aunt Lucia, she explained the daily operations of the bakery. First, we get up before dawn to knead the dough. Next, we bake breads and muffins. Then, while I help customers, Lucia makes cakes and cookies for sale in the afternoon. Whenever the phone rings, she races from the back room to intercept the call. She's always worried that it might be bad news, so she wants to be the first to hear it. After dinner, Aunt Lucia invites neighbors over to listen to the radio. Some are immigrants from a wide diversity of backgrounds. Lucy and others help translate the news into several languages for everyone to understand. I always listen closely for any bulletin about fighting in the Pacific. I remember how intently my parents read reports about the war, which I rarely understood. They often whispered to one another, and I'd shout out something like, "Speak up, I can't hear you." They frown and leave me alone to talk in private. One night, they came into the living room and turned off the radio. At first I was angry, but they had serious expressions on their faces. "Our country's at war," Dad said. "The military will be looking for new recruits. I know something about boats and ship engines, so I intend to join the Navy." My face grew hot, but my hands felt cold. "You can't just leave," I said. I stomped on the floor for emphasis and stormed off to my bedroom. Looking back on that now, I feel ashamed of how selfishly I acted. This morning, Aunt Lucia can tell I'm feeling down. She asked me to help her decorate cupcakes for a fundraiser tonight. At first, I'm not interested. I just slather on frosting and plop a berry on top. Then I realize that I can make red stripes out of strawberries and a patch of blue from blueberries. Soon, I have a whole tray of cupcakes decorated like flags to show Aunt Lucia. "These are wonderful," Lucia says. "I'm sure they'll sell better than anything else." For the first time in weeks, I feel like I've done something right. I think of all the money we might make at the sale and how it may buy supplies for my father. "I enlisted in the Navy to help restore democracy in the world," my dad said on the day he left. "Now you be a good Navy daughter and sail straight, young lady." I promised I would. As he went out the door, I slipped a little poem into his coat pocket. Here's a little rhyme to pass the day. It said, "I love you back in the USA." I look at the cupcakes and wish I could send one to my dad. Instead, I'll draw a platter on which they're piled high and send the picture off to the Pacific with a letter. That way, my dad will have plenty to share with everyone here, everyone there. Okay, so your assignment, just like last week, is to answer the inquiry question, how can working together help us solve problems? So answer the question based on what we read about and shipped out. And remember, you must use the sentence starter, "Working together can help us solve problems." So then add your answer behind that sentence starter. All right, guys, I hope you have a great day.